What's up, all you cool kids? This is Daisy Collins of TsunamiRose.net, coming at you live from my little craft room here for the time remaining in Las Vegas, Nevada. And thank you guys so much for joining me today. We are starting a new junk journal because that's what we do after we finish one. I'm going to come back after this video and do a flip through of my last junk journal, which I haven't done a flip through or posted up for sale yet, but I am in the process of doing that after I go live. So I'm starting a new junk journal, and this is another little golden book, and this one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I am starting off with the journals that I'm starting off because they have a nice border off here to the right. Sometimes the titles start right here, and that's a little annoying, but for now, this works for me. So these books here are held together by like this tape, or actually they're held together by sorry, things are falling apart all around me. They are held together by this staples here and here. And so first step is to remove the staples. Well, first step is to actually, we need to get a piece of tape and see if we can lift off the foil. Actually, kind of lifts off on its own here. You get the foil off. That's not helping. I thought the tape would help. We are just going to see if this tape is better. No, that's just taking the print off. This is might be a little bit newer. It's still old because it doesn't have the website here in the background like other ones do. But what you want to do is you want to take off the little golden tape here so that way you can see the staples, and you can see them right there and also right here. And I'm trying to take the tape off this side just with my nail, honestly. But I don't think I even need to do that. Okay, so let me get my awl, which I was looking for the other day. Can I just stick random tools in here? Okay, here it is. That little cup thing clips onto my rack over here, baker's rack. I think that's what it is. Okay, so I'm just digging underneath the staple and kind of pulling it out. Just like that on that side, and then we're going to do the same on this side. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for being here. I've already selected the fabrics that I'm going to be using. I am going to be using, you're going to need two different fabrics. You're going to need two different fabrics. One fabric needs to be bigger than the cover by a lot, and the other fabric needs to be the same size as the cover. So we're going to cut this to be exactly the same size as the cover. So that's the two type of fabrics that you're going to use. And I'm using fabric here that I quilted myself out of a bunch of other fabrics that I got for Christmas. So I do have a video on that also, if you guys want to check that out. I'd say this one would be the easiest for a beginner who's never put fabric together like this. I'll have the videos to me doing it, also the videos of where I originally got the idea from, because I'm not a quilter or anything like that. So here you could see those staples right here underneath the tape. So I'm just trying to dig underneath here. It's not a pretty process, but it works. Oh, gotta dig them out. If anybody knows an easier way, let me know. But so far, this works out. It just it's a little bit of a struggle. Just a little bit. Okay, that's out. And now the other side. And I am going to be going to California tonight. I'm driving out there tonight. You got the two staples off. Driving out to California. Hi, Linda from sunny California. I'll be there tonight. I can't wait. And then it just has the signatures like this. So I want to keep these separate. So that way I can use them in the book later. And next, what I want to use, I actually kind of cheat. And I use my fabric cutter, Rotary cutter, to cut along the border here, to cut off this little spine that this has, because it creates an issue, so I don't really want it. Or I could do this. This would be interesting. This would be interesting. Okay. Cutting it off. Okay. Doesn't matter if it's even, it's alright. So now I just want to take off more of this tape here. Oh, I didn't actually cut it off. Oh, okay, see what I mean. There's two parts you need to cut, and I didn't cut the right ones. You can feel it, it's hollow in this spot right here. It's hollow, completely hollow. So now I want a, what is it called? The sandpaper. I want sandpaper. And with the sandpaper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to even this out, because this is all just paper right here. And then there's a cardboard core right there. Michelle. Oh no, why did I say Michelle? Tanya. Tanya. Okay, Tanya from New Zealand. Awesome. What time is it over there? I am just going to sand off the extra paper. It's a lot easier than trying to get it off otherwise. Easier just to sand it off. It's getting there. Getting there. Now this side you want to sand down as well. Okay, so now that I have them perfectly even, I want to scratch a little bit of the paint off on the cover itself, just like ½ an inch. Maybe on the back cover you can scrape off a little bit more. But basically we're just creating more like of a grip for the glue and the fabric that we're going to use. Delene, hey girl. I'm going to send you your files right after this video. I ran out of time. I did package up your order, but I'm missing the JPEG upgrade, and I'll refund you the money for that because that's way late. I'm sorry, I lost grip of my shop. Okay. Okay. That's all now nice and dusted and busted, and we're good to go to the next step, which is I need a cereal box, and I need to figure out where I put my paper because I've been moving stuff around. And now I don't see it. Oh my goodness. What happened to it? I haven't gone anywhere. Hang on. I'm trying to find my cereal box stash. Yo, oh my goodness. Okay, hang on. I might have to improvise here because I don't. Did I put it in the living room? What happened? I am so confused right now as to the whereabouts of my cereal box because that's not wide enough. Let's see. See, this is why you should prepare before you go live. That's why. Where? I might. Oh wait. Okay. Yes, I see. Okay, it is in the wrong spot. Okay. Crisis averted. Cereal box, y'all. Oh my goodness. Cereal box. So what we need to do is make this cereal box the same length as your book. So for me, I'm just going to eyeball it. And I want to cut this to be, let me see which size I made my last one, which is kind of the perfect size. It could be a little bit wider. So I made this 2 inches wide. No, an inch and 3/4 almost. I think if it was 2 inches wide, it would be perfect. It would give it enough space to not be so fluffy. So I think I'm going to make it 2 inches wide. Because this book is just like a little bit, crocodile-y. So if I made the spine a little bit bigger, I could still decorate it the way I want to. So that's what I think I'm going to do. So 2 inch wide spine is what we're after here. Maybe, yeah, 2 inch wide wouldn't really be that big of a difference from where it was. Okay, so 2 inches wide. Let me get my paper cutter. For the cereal box, I like to use my nice big cutter here. And also, I'm going to need 2 pieces of it, right? So it's going to be cut. Why am I cutting it this way? Oh my goodness. Okay, this isn't better. Okay, so I'm going to cut it like this. And then 2 inches. 2 inches wide is what I want. And I'm cutting this 2 times because this is going to be our spine piece. And one of these pieces of cereal box is a little bit too not enough rigid. It's not rigid enough with just one piece. So I put 2 pieces and it becomes a little bit more stiff. I wonder if I should do 3. Yeah, I'm going to do 3. This box seems a little bit thinner. So I'm going to do 3 of them for this one just to be on the safe side, just so I feel better. Otherwise, it's going to feel a little bit squishy, which is, it's not the worst thing. But I want it to be pretty rigid. So you know what? We're going to hit it with 3. And that's still not too far off the book cover, which is actually too wide. I can see that it's about the width of 2 of these cereal boxes. The last time I did it was 2 cereal boxes and it was fine. So I'm conflicted here. I want to do 2. All right, I'll just do 2. I gotta trust what I've done in the past. Let's just do 2. So I'm gonna put my cutter aside. I'm gonna have these 2. I'm gonna glue these together. And I use Eileen's Turbo Tacky Glue for pretty much everything. From making the cover to decorating. It's like my all-purpose glue. It's really, really good glue and it dries really fast. So this is my glue of choice. Okay, so here we have this right here. I'm going to rough up the back of this just a tiny bit. So I am going to end up gluing this piece, so let's go ahead and do that just a tiny bit. Okay. So these are our cover pieces here. This cover is actually coming off. It is literally peeling off. Uh-oh. Call them and get a refund. Just kidding. This book is so old. And usually the corners on these lift because these are so vintage. And I do put in a metal corner here at the very end. I do put in a metal corner so that the edges don't lift. Gotta make sure on these old books. I might Mod Podge this edge here. This is very, very much old. Oh my goodness. The glue is cracked. At least on the edges anyways. Lori, hey. They're not, right? I'm telling you. Okay, so this right here. That's why I stopped making junk journals out of cereal boxes, to be honest with you. Because it just was never strong enough, and buying expensive chipboard, I might as well just buy a book. So I just decided to just keep making junk journals out of books. I could use a little bit more glue. Lori, you can't craft or work, girl. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this step I haven't actually had to do with any other golden book. So that's new. But again, I reinforced the corners with metal corners. Where is my, okay, here we go. I like to reinforce the book corners here with these little metal brackets that I put in, that I hammer in, and I also add some glue in there. And that hopefully keeps the corners here from fraying. I have not had another book that peeled off like that. It's really, really vintage, so that might be why. Okay, so now we have our spine and our two cover pieces here nice and prepped. And what we're going to do next is prep the fabric. We're going to prep the fabric. Like I said, we are going to need two different sizes of fabric. You're going to need one size fabric that is bigger than your cover. You can even do half an inch. This is probably a full-on inch. I'll have to cut it off maybe just a little bit. And then that's for the outside part, which will only need about 5 inches or less for the cover part. And it's just for the cover spine. And this is for the inside. This is for the inside part of the journal, which is a different type of quilted material that I made from a bunch of other fabrics. Again, I'll link the videos down below to make those if you want to see. So you're going to need this to be almost the same height as the book. and that's going to be on the inside that we're going to use that in. So let me decide what part of this here I'm going to want, because again, I'm only going to need about 5 inches, I think. Let me see how wide this is. It's not going to be that far away from each other here. So let's figure this out. This is going to be about, well, let me see where the wording is over here so I can figure out how wide this fabric is going to be. It's not going to be too far apart from each other. It's just going to be like this far apart from each other. So I can't really go that much in right here. So it's gonna, so this is a 3 inches or 2 inches wide right here. So maybe it'll have to be like 3 inches wide. Let's see how it looks with 3 inches. That's what it would look like here with 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. And then that's not gonna leave me any room for lace, but these books with the really narrow borders here to work with, it's a little hard. So that's 3 inches. Yeah, that's what it'll have to be. And I might be able to put a tiny little ribbon and it might cut off the but we'll have to live with that. Okay, so 3 inches. This looks like a fun little corner right here. Let's work with that. And I'm going to use my Sizzix plate here that I keep using as a ruler because I refuse to buy a ruler, one of those scrapbooking rulers. No, not scrapbooking, quilting rulers. They're basically the same thing as this. So let me go ahead and just make it slightly bigger than 3 inches so that way I can cut it down even later on. Okay, so that's my strip for my spine. And then the inside part of the journal. It's already as big as as tall as it's gonna need to be, so I don't need to cut that down. Well, I will, because it's not exactly the same size, but that'll work out in evening out the edges and everything, making sure everything is nice and straight. This one I can make a little bit wider because I don't have to worry about the inside margins as much. So that's good. So let's figure out where this is gonna go. This spine is gonna go in the middle. And this is gonna go here. And this is gonna go about here. You gotta kind of eyeball it. Of course, you can make the spine as wide as you want. I think I'd have to be locked away if I couldn't do any type of crafting. Yes, Lori, I'm sorry you broke 2 bones in your elbow, girl, and the big bone in your forearm. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. Oh, that sucks so hard. I'm trying to see how wide I need to make this, or I can make this. Looks like I can make it 5 inches wide. And I'd be happy with that. Because I like a nice inside fabric part. So 5 inches, let's do that. You can always cut it down later in the next step. So let's make it a little bit wider than 5 inches so I can cut it down a little bit later. I always worry about cutting stuff evenly. So I always make it bigger than it needs to be and kind of whittle it down. That's my motto. Okay, so I have this nice leftover piece to do something with. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it into a tag. I don't know, girl. Okay, so that is my 2 fabric pieces now. My spine, which is bigger than the little golden book because we're going to wrap it around like this. And then also the inside part of the fabric, which is almost the same size as the cover, only because I'm going to whittle it down a little bit in the next step. So the next step is you're going to need a HeatnBond. I'm actually out of my choice of HeatnBond Lite, and I only have HeatnBond Ultra Hold. So the difference between HeatnBond Ultra Hold and HeatnBond Lite is HeatnBond Lite is sewable, and HeatnBond Ultra Hold is non-sewable. However, you can sew on it. I can only do straight stitches and zigzag stitches with my sewing machine, but it's not actually meant to be able to be sewed through. It might cut my needle. I don't know. I'm risking it all. But I have found that I can do straight stitch and I can do zigzag stitch on these pieces, on this material here. So that's good. So all I'm going to do is I can cut straight across like it was, some sort of nice material here. Just kind of glide my scissors across like butter. Okay. Oh no! I think it'll be okay. It should be okay. That's what I get for messing around. Okay. So again, that's the HeatnBond Ultra Hold. And you'll end up with extra pieces like this. So what I like to do is label it Ultra Hold, so that way I know. And the other one will say Lite. And that way I don't get mistaken as to what piece is what kind of material, because they literally look the same unless you see this part of the HeatnBond material on it. Okay. What brand is my cutter? It does cut leather, I believe. I think. Let me get you a link. I don't know if I have the link on hand. Here it is. Yeah, it is a Fiskars ProCision Rotary cutter. There's a link to it. You might want to read the information. I can't confirm myself if it cuts leather. I have not tried to cut leather, but it does cut fabric. It cuts fabric after I have done this process to it. So maybe I'll do the same with leather. I've actually been wanting to do a leather junk journal, so that'll be interesting to do, actually. Okay, so next we need to iron the HeatnBond on because this is iron-on adhesive. So we need to iron it on. So let me get my little tools out of the way. That's done with for now, at least for now. I might use it in a minute. Or I might use my other cutter. I haven't decided. Okay, so I have my iron here and my little heating pad. Not heating pad, but like my heat resistant pad here for ironing. And it's a mess, so excuse my mess. I'm just going to roll over this carpet. This is a piece of HeatnBond Lite right here that I have been using to kind of keep my area clean because the pad itself is a little bit messy. So I am going to iron this facing down because there is glue and I don't want to get glue on me. Actually, I don't want to get glue on that either. What I want to do is get another piece of HeatnBond. Could use another piece of HeatnBond. I'm going to sandwich, you want to sandwich the shiny fabric, the shiny material, textured material, that's what you want to iron onto the wrong side of your fabric. And then same thing with your other fabric piece. I'm going to iron it onto the wrong side of the fabric on the textured material, or the texture side of the HeatnBond, I should say. And I'm going to go ahead and sandwich them between here. So that way it won't get glue on my iron, which is very important. So I have my iron set to the hottest setting. The cutter is amazing, it really is. And what you want to do is leave it on for about 30 seconds at a time. And instead of moving it around, you want to lift and move. Lift and kind of place into position. Sorry if I sound stuffy. I am moving around all this dust when I'm moving. Ugh, it's terrible. We're definitely going to have to go on the back side of this and iron. But for now, I'm trying to get some of it glued down. My iron is set to linen if anybody's interested in that specifically. Hi, Carrie. Okay, so I'm done with that side for a little bit. Move over here. Again, you don't want to glide this around. You want to lift up and put into place. And we're trying to melt the glue on this HeatnBond with our iron. Okay. So now you'll see glue all over this. There's actually glue everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to turn it around and I want to iron on the back of this. Woo, hot. It's hot, so be careful. Okay. I'm going to make sure that glue is nice and melted. About 30 seconds at a time, and then lift and move. Pretty much already melted, but I just want to triple check because this is quilted fabric, so there's a lot of nooks and crannies to get into the glue to melt the glue into, I should say. So I just want to make sure that gets nice and glued down. And give me 1 second. I'm actually going to mute the screen. What did I do to the mouse? Where's my mouse? Okay, here it is. I'm going to blow my nose 1 second. Okay, back. And melting the glue. I think we're pretty much done with this step of melting the glue onto the fabric. So let's lift it off, and it needs to cool down because it is hot to the touch. It is melted glue. So you can just wave it around or wait for it to get cold. I'll just wave it around. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to take the fabric off of the HeatnBond. Oops, that stitch was not strong enough right there. It's okay. Make sure it comes off easy. It's all good. Okay, so now there's going to be extra glue off to the sides if you didn't cut the HeatnBond exactly to the size of your fabric. Maybe sometimes you have hairs down here or little fabric bits. Ugh, just tearing this part apart. Okay. So we got the glue all over the back side here. You can see it's shiny. That's all glue. And then you're going to be left with a bunch of this material that is the back of the HeatnBond where the glue was on. And again, I keep using this to paint on top of, to use glue, to iron on more HeatnBond on because it always peels off. So that's good. So just so you know, when you buy 5 yards of HeatnBond, you'll be left with 5 yards of this material. So that's why I have giant sheets like this. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we want to turn this fabric into paper, basically. And to do so, we need to now go ahead and adhere this to paper. That is our next step. Okay. Okay, so we are going to be using packing paper. Packing paper is, I got this at Walmart. It's next to the moving boxes. It's next to the bubble wrap and all the like mailing supplies. It's basically what you would put in between like your glassware when you're moving and you're packing stuff. So it's called packing paper. You could also use tissue paper. However, I myself prefer to use packing paper. And I'll tell you why, because tissue paper is really see-through. And that's great and all, but sometimes I have some fabrics that would show, that would, you know, the cover would, you would be able to see through it. You can see right there. Maybe you can see through this fabric. So in order to prevent that, I use packing paper and it makes it opaque, basically. It makes it no longer transparent. Sometimes before this, before using packing paper, I would actually have to, paint the cover, like the book cover. And now, since I use the packing paper, I'm no longer afraid that it's going to be seen through the fabric. Sometimes you use white fabric, and sometimes the fabric is just really thin. And say your book cover is green or something, so it's going to show through. So using the packing paper, like I said, adds a layer of opacity. Hi, Gigi. It adds a layer of opacity, so that way you don't have to worry about that. So again, we're turning this fabric into paper. And here I don't really have to worry about it gliding around, because this is packing paper and not fabric and not plastic. But you still want to make sure that the fabric, that the iron gets enough time to melt the plastic, the adhesive, I should say. So again, I have my iron set to the hottest setting. I'm hard of hearing. Did you say crafty? Oops. I'm hard of hearing. Did you say crafting paper from Walmart? Packing paper. Oh, my little shock machine turned off. Packing paper. is a lifesaver. Whew, it feels so good. Okay, so packing paper. I'm also a little stuffy, so maybe I sounded weird. Again, I'm going to turn this around. Well, that just happened. I'll have to use a new piece of HeatnBond down here. Just came apart. Okay, so pretty much not melted down yet. And I'm just going to cut it up so I don't have this big old piece of paper to work with. Go ahead and keep ironing. And make sure to melt all that glue on. Here I'm going to try and cut close to it because there's glue. I don't want that to get on my iron or this HeatnBond. Gotta move it. Don't forget to move it like I just did, because that'll happen. That got on there a little bit too long. Should be okay. Need to melt it here on this corner. You can see it's lifting up. Oh, I need to stretch. Okay. Okay, so this should be all nice and glued down now. Let's work on this one. Oh, that one got some glue there. Anytime you're afraid that you see glue because it's shiny and you don't want to get that on your iron, just put down another piece of HeatnBond. Jane, hello, girl. Okay. So again, we're just trying to make sure that the adhesive is nice and glued down. And now basically we've turned this piece of fabric into a piece of paper. Because now it has paper on the back. Okay. It's hot. So now we're all done with this part. So let me turn off my iron. I don't want to burn myself. Okay. And I need to get this heating pad, or I always want to call it a heating pad. My ironing pad. And we're going back. Oh wait, I don't want to heat this up. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go the other method, the other way. And use my rotary cutter. Well, this is also a rotary cutter. The type of cutter here, it's also rotary, but it's my cutter. I need some cardstock. So one moment. So I use cardstock when it comes to cutting this material. It is really soft, and if you try to cut it just like this, it wouldn't work. So I like to use cardstock. So I'm going to try and even this out as much as I possibly could. First, I'm going to pick this side, and I'm going to make this even. Sometimes I just want to cut all of it. So when I get my little scissors here, I just cut like that. And that's enough. Sometimes, especially with this kind of fabric where it's quilted, it'll get jammed in the little pieces of fabric. Okay, so now make this side even. Perfect. Just a couple little threads. Now the other side, we gotta even this side out. Short side. Okay. Just a couple threads there. Now this side right here. I almost lost track of what side. So let's make this even here. Thank you, Angela, and hello. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to cut this a little bit shorter is what I said. I'm not going to make it too complicated. This is going to wrap around essentially, so it doesn't need this much space. So let me decide what corner I want to keep. Well, you won't see either one, so I guess I'll keep this corner over here. So about 1/2 inch is going to fold over. Make that a little bit more than 1/2 inch. So this doesn't have to be even. Okay, so now the next part does have to be nice and even because it's going to be perfectly flush up against this part right here. So this is kind of an important part here. This fabric piece is all jagged. This quilted part is all jagged. So it's going to take some evening out. I always like to have the cutter part away from me and then pull down. That's what works better for me with this cutter. Okay. Right there. Now this had to be nice and even up against here. So let me actually mark on here where it needs to be. I'll just get another piece of paper actually. I didn't even notice I hadn't taken this little piece of plastic off. Wow. It's been how many years I've had this thing? Okay, here's all or nothing. Okay, so let's see how this piece worked out. Okay, that looks good. Is it even though? Is it even? Ooh, it looks like it's not exactly even. Hang on, I can fix that. I need my... Where's my cutting board? I have my cutting thing. Where's my cutting mat? Here it is. I'm just gonna go the easy route right now. It's not exactly even, so I'm gonna make sure. You see, it's got a little extra piece actually. It's not even. So give me 1 second. I gotta even this out, but not because it's paper and it's still fabric at the same time. I can use my rotary cutter. Once I locate it. I'm telling you, my life right now is just, it's a mess. I'm usually more prepared than this. I think that's what fell earlier with my rotary cutter. And I'm looking for my cutter. I don't see it. Okay, I found it. Okay, so every time I lose something, somebody should take a shot. He'll get really drunk. Just gonna use the book as an edge to cut off the little extra bit. And now I'm happy because now it's nice and even. So the next step is I want to sew. So next step is I'm actually going to sew these pieces here. Let me show you what I'm going to do. Thread it and forget it. I'm just kidding. Okay, so thread it. Thank you, Jane. It's gonna be beautiful. Okay. There we go. So I'm gonna have my sewing machine here. I have black thread in there in case anybody's wondering. I couldn't find my white thread, which is what I would normally want to use, but we're moving on with our life. So, because this is a quilted piece, and I would actually do this even with regular fabric. Bye, Gigi. I would even do this with regular fabric. I'm going to sew a zigzag stitch all the way across the edge, kind of like a serger would, you know, give you a nice little edge so it doesn't fray. Also because there's little parts of the fabric here that are overlapped and they will move around. So I'm going to sew a zigzag stitch all around everything first before I do anything else, which I can't do much because again the Ultra Hold HeatnBond is not for sewing, so you cannot exactly sew on this. I have done zigzag stitch and straight stitch, and that's all I've been able to sew on it. always has problems sewing, I'm telling you. It's because I am using the HeatnBond Ultra Hold. I have not gone out to buy the Lite anymore. I keep using a lot of the Lite up. Because I like making fancy stitches and stuff on my journals. Drop it though. Okay. Let me go ahead and back stitch a little bit, I suppose. Well, actually, no, it doesn't matter. That part's going to get tucked in anyway. So here you can see what I did. I just stitched all the way around the edge. So that way none of the edges fray and all of my fabric stay together. Again, because this is quilted fabric, the fabrics would lift up if I did not do this step. So let me do the next one. Same thing, just going to do a zigzag stitch all the way around. Side here. Are you adding lace to them? I will be adding lace. I think my sewing machine just messed up. Careful with this HeatnBond. Get the right kind, otherwise this will happen to you. So again, it can do zigzag stitch and straight stitch. Off and then we're done. Oh, I'm gonna seam rip this one because this one's gonna look a little ugly. This one you will be able to see, so let me fix that. Okay. Okay. Is the ultra. This is the Ultra Hold. You got the Lite. The Lite is ideal for this situation right here. And to make all these fancy, you see, if I try to do these fancy stitches right here with the HeatnBond Ultra Hold, it would not work. It would get all gunked up and I would not be able to sew that. So this is HeatnBond Lite right here, which is what you want to do if you want to do fancy stitches. But I only have HeatnBond Ultra Hold, which is not very good for ironing. I mean, for sewing you can, but it might cause you problems, like as you've seen for me. It did cause a couple of problems. Not so much that I don't want to sew on it. You see, at least this right here and straight stitch is fine. But I am still going to add lace. I'm going to add very thin lace. I was actually even thinking of using this part right here. But actually, that wouldn't work in this case. Well, for this one, it might. No, I think it's still too wide. Yeah, it's still too wide. It's too wide for that one, too narrow for the other one. Okay. So I'm going to use a very, very thin lace because on the outside cover, I'm already taking up a lot of space right here, and I don't really want to take up too much space at the title. So very, very little lace on the outside. I'll see about the inside in a second. Maybe I could do different lace for that. So let's get... almost closed the window. Oops. Till I move, I'm going to be a big mess, you guys, so sorry. Expect for me to be more frazzled in the future. Okay. So I'm going to put this on the, should I put it on the inside or the outside? No, I'm going to put it on the outside. Why not? I'm going to do a straight stitch, and I'm going to do a really wide straight stitch. I'm just going to keep this against the edge. I see where I'm going to sew. How is therapy? I finished therapy. It was great. And now I'm kind of just on my own doing the little exercises that they told me to do. I'm going to link everybody to the HeatnBonds that I am talking about. Oh, hang on. This is the HeatnBond Ultra Hold right here. If you guys don't plan on sewing on the cover or the inside, or you could do a straight stitch on the inside, or you could do even your pamphlet stitches with this technique here as well. Here is the Ultra Hold, the Lite, which is good for wanting to iron on to sew on. Okay, so let's put this lace right here. I don't know why it got stuck there, but it got stuck. I'm just going to move it along. And let's keep going. Linda. Hi, everybody. Late as usual, but I'll watch from the beginning after the show. Gigi. I'm not sure the CC is on. Always helps me. Thank you, Teresa. And Michelle said she's going to delve into the shed and find the girls' old books. Yes. Make them into books. Make them into journals. Okay, so there's that piece. Like I said, I have a video if you guys want to know how I did this quilting, if you guys haven't watched. Okay. Just like that. Now we're going to sew this other piece of lace on here. Just pick my little beginning spot right here. There it is. Daisy, are you running any sales for any Christmas digipacks? My sale just ended, so I just have everyday low prices right now. Just have everyday low prices. I do have free shipping on my physical items for any orders over $35. Why is that crooked? That is crooked. Oh, right, because that's gonna bend over and it doesn't matter. Okay, you see? That is so crooked. I'm like, ah. Girl, I'm sorry. I had that sale going on literally all year. Okay, so this piece right here. Do I want to add bigger lace? Do I? I could. It'd be a little crazy, but I could. You know what? I'm gonna use the same one. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Yes, Angela. I started that earlier this year. What is it? Oh, and it just finished. So I am sorry, but like I said, I have everyday low prices. Like what Walmart would say. We have everyday low prices. I remember Michael's has this thing now for their coupons where like certain things you cannot use a coupon because it's an everyday low price item. Like, wow, okay. You say so. I'm just joking. Okay. That is pretty nice and even, I would say. Very proud of myself. Oh my goodness. I have to drive to Cali tonight. 5 hours. I'm excited. I'm gonna go see my girl Rhonda and my girl Pink Oddbird. Little Rhonda Lee, if you guys don't know, on YouTube, and Pink Oddbird. They actually live in my hometown in California. And we have hung out, I believe, once in the past with Pink Oddbird and Little Rhonda Lee, and I've gone to visit Rhonda for a number of years now. We've been good friends for a number of years. And I go visit her once in a while, and tomorrow is her birthday. So I'm going to go see her. We're going to go have some fun, do some thrift shopping, go eat, go to our favorite pizza joint out there. Well, I guess it's my favorite. I always tell everybody to go. It's my favorite pizza joint out there. And it's going to be fun. Okay, so this is now the inside fabric, the outside fabric, and we have our journal prepped. So now let's put it together. So give me 1 second because I have to sneeze. Sorry about that. Okay, so we are going to put this together now. I still like to use the same glue for everything, which is a TurboTax glue by Eileen's TurboTax glue. And to protect my work surface, which is on my table, which is just a white poster board here. But still, to protect I think I moved the camera. Oh yeah, to show you sewing. To protect my surface here, I use a piece of HeatnBond, which I have tons of. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So what we need to do is we need to glue this little spine piece right here to the very middle of this right here. I believe is what I did, or did I do this part here first? No, I didn't. I did this part here first. Okay. Get a nice amount of glue here. And I like to use these little silicone brushes to move the glue around. Put this here in the corner. Okay, so it's going to be the middle of this here. Guess that looks pretty good. Just eyeballing it a bit. You can move it just a tiny bit, but not much. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Who said hi? Who said hi? Teresa. Hey, Teresa. And Angela. Yeah, I already said hi to Angela. Okay. So now next step is to make this part right here. And I had another little golden book to help me do the next part, and I think I either threw it away because it was just a part of it, or what did I do with it? I must have thrown it away. I must have. So instead, let me try to figure this out because it was just the like right width that I needed it to be, just the perfect width. And let's see, what do I have near me? Okay, I have 2 pieces of cereal box, which I believe when put together yeah, they're a little too thin right here. So maybe, oh, you know what? I'll use this right here. This is the same thickness all the way around. Okay. So the reason why I need that is because we need to leave a little gap right here in between the spine and the cover. And I'm trying to find, I usually use this another piece of little golden book cover to do that part with, but now I don't have it. So now we're having to deal with that. Putting the glue on here. All right, we gotta put this in the right side, so the right cover. Right, I was just about to make a mistake. I was about to make the mistake of my life. So this is gonna go here, and we are gonna separate it by the width of this plastic piece here. So that way they're both the same width apart, like I said. Problem is, this board is not exactly straight. This should be good enough right here. Just to give us this nice gap even all the way down. I'll go over to this side and kind of keep pushing the fabric into the glue, or the paper, I should say, because it's not paper. Pushing that there. Okay, and now let's do the other side. So happy that I indulged in Daisy's sale and picked up her Christmas kits as well as a bunch of other stuff. Yep. It's time, Linda. It's time to get it all out. Okay, so now, again, I want to get more glue on here because it already kind of dried. This dries really, really fast. It's a really good glue. And I love it. Evening out the glue here, it kind of takes extra glue off as well. And here, once more, I'm going to grab my board. And I guess I don't care about getting this messy anymore. Because this is going to get glue all over it. Hang on, I literally am holding it with my chin over here. You can't see, but my chin is holding it. I'm just trying to make sure it's up close to it. There we go. Now I've got glue on here, but you know what? Life goes on. Life goes on. Now it's in place. It's still moving around a little bit. It's still really not entirely solid. Again, let's drive it in here. Okay. So now I need to glue this side down here over. And make sure you get the glue in between the cracks here of the sewing. Okay. Phoebe! Hi, Phoebe. Hey, Daisy, do you have any trouble of the glue soaking through the fabric? I do not. The fabric is backed up on paper with the last process, with the last step that I just did, and no glue seeps through. No, not one bit. Never had that problem. Not with this technique. Nope, 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 nope. Never happened. And this glue does not seep through, specifically. Okay. You want it to be nice and tight up against the spine. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Gosh darn it, hang on. I forgot to do one part. I'm supposed to make little slits here. I totally forgot about this part. Right here where the little gutter is going to be. Oops, I did that one too close. I forgot. I need to make little gutters because otherwise it kind of warps it a little bit. When you fold it over, I don't know why, but it does. So you just want to cut off little pieces here. I have my regular scissors. Okay. Just want to cut off little strips here. Okay, and I'll show you why, because it makes it less bulky, and also because it kind of is not as smooth. It just kind of warps when you lay it over, and it gets too fat right here with the next set of fabric I'm going to put on here. This kind of makes it work as 3 pieces here instead of just one that's prone to being warped, as I would say. I guess we get the glue a little bit under the lace as well. Okay. So this is actually the last step for today. And I'm going to come back on Monday because tonight I'm going to California. I'll be there tomorrow. And I'm coming home Friday evening sometime. So I'll be back on Monday. And we will continue this little journey that we're on with this book, which already looks really pretty with that cover. Tell me that doesn't. Luckily, you can see Red-Nosed Reindeer right there. It did kind of cover up the dull with the lace, but I still think it's going to be a really pretty journal, even without all that fancy stitching that I normally do. I'm really, really excited about that quilting material. Again, I'll leave the links down below to how I made that and the video where I did, and also the inspiration if you guys want to check that out. And this is going to be the inside part of the cover, and this is what we are going to sew our signatures on. So that'll be in the next part or so. So I hope you guys join me back to see what else I have going on with this journal. Right now I'm going to work on getting this journal listed up for sale, and I'll come back probably in an hour or so to do a live flip through video of it. So do join me back in like an hour or so. I'll be back here just for a really short amount of time. You might miss it because the flip throughs are always like 10 minutes long. But anyways, I'll have a new flip through video for you to watch and enjoy later on today. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and for supporting me in my store. Thank you guys so much for your patience. I'm sorry if I have been late with your orders. I'll make it up to you. I've just been dealing with my life right now and moving and everything. So again, I apologize, but thank you guys so much for your patience. Thank you to Michelle for hanging out with me, to Linda, to Tanya, Deline, to Lori, to Michelle, to Carrie, to Karina, Linda, Deline, Gigi. Who else was here? Angela hung out with us. And we also had Teresa and BB. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys back in an hour or so. And I'll see you guys on Monday for part 2 of this video here. So thank you guys so much. Bye.